welcome back to Misano, welcome back to qualifying, and it is Trofeo Pirelli qualifying 2 here from Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. It's Sunday morning, it is sunny, it's warm, reasonably, but it's going to be very warm come race time later today, and the heat is going to be on when the race starts. The heat is already going to be on in 4 minutes and change when this qualifying session will get underway. This is where we are. Follow us at Ferrari Races on social media, and obviously come to one of the events that we would like to share with you. We're going to go to Spielberg next, and it's going to be Le Mans, the big one. But it's also going to be July in Estoril. It's going to be September in Spa, where it's going to be rainy, sunny, snowy, whatever, you never know in Spa, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be legendary, because it always is when the Ferrari Challenge takes to the track. Air temperature, as you can see, already 18 degrees at 10 a.m. Track already up to 24 degrees. Barely any wind in the trees, in the sky. Just listen to the birds. It's beautiful. It's going to be beautiful when the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo power plants will roar to life in just a few moments, but also beautiful and very competent down in pit lane is Ludovica.
We are here out of the box of Eliseo. Eliseo yesterday took the pole position and made a very good race. And now she is preparing for this qualifying session, and all the teams this morning work for a good feeling and a good setup for his car.
Eliseo, of course, crossed the line P1 yesterday and then picked up a penalty. Good morning to you. Hello, hope you're well. We are with Trofeo Pirelli qualifying then, that is just a few moments away from getting underway, as we can see the Eliseo Dono car being pushed out of the garage, ready to do battle in this Ferrari Challenge. Qualifying to come. They're the number 5 car of Adrian Sutil, former Formula 1 driver, who's not in the car yet, as you can see. He's missing from the driver's seat. That will be that wrong will be righted very, very shortly indeed. And there we can see the Eliseo Dono car once again. Eliseo very much going to be one of the early entrants into the qualifying session. The car is running and he is ready to go as well. So we have 20 drivers out there. Remind you, the Pirelli drivers have the red sunstrip across the top of the windscreen. The Pirelli AM drivers with the white sunstrip across the top of the windscreen. And Nicolo Rossi will be one of those Pirelli AM drivers. Say a big thank you to Nicolo for his gift yesterday to the hard-working TV production team. Very grateful to you. There you can see Josef Kral, who was excellent in the race yesterday, engineered by Scuderia Prague. Of course, the team headed up by Ivo Horn. And Josef Kral then returning to the Ferrari Challenge here in Misano. Was missing in Valencia, but certainly made up for that by being here this weekend. And there is former DTM champion to the left-hand side of the screen that you can see there, who is a team principal, if you like, for the Charles Pozzi GT Racing team. That's one Mr. Manuel Reuter, not this man. That's one Mr. Eliseo Dono. And he is poised and ready. There is Ivo Horn from Scuderia Prague. And you can see with the radio headset on, and Ivo is a very, very successful team manager coming out of the Czech Republic. And Nicolo Rossi then, who we said thank you to just a few moments ago for his gift to the TV production team, which is kind of him. Nicolo Rossi, Swiss driver. And there is Zanazzi then, and he was impressive yesterday. We'll see what Marco Zanazzi can deliver today. He driving for the CDP Paneti Motorsport team, Trofeo Pirelli AM driver. Like the Copachel race, the Trofeo Pirelli race was fairly littered with penalties as well. Rocco Mazzola for Radici Automobili. There you can see he get the thumbs up, ready for his qualifying as the pit lane gets opened right now and the session is on. We throw the clock to the top of the screen so you can see how long that we have got in terms of these cars out on track. 30 minutes. And pole position up for grabs. in Pirelli and also in Pirelli Am. You can see weaving from side to side, Giamatti Mazzialetti already weaving in the pit lane, trying to generate some temperature into the Pirelli tyres. We are expecting the drivers to go out on a set from yesterday. First of all, they'll get their eye in and go out and do a few laps, then come in and put a new set of tyres on the number 23 machine of Rocco Mazzola then. And there you can see the car of Marco Zanazzi still awaiting being released from the garage to go out for the qualifying session, which is where Josef Kral is heading right now down the pit lane. And Josef Kral will be in front of our commentary studio position in just a couple of moments from now, as we see Alessio Dono go past that position right now. And Alessio, you can see we are on board with him as well. Just a big shout out to Thomas Fleming, the HRO and FF Corsa driver, who was victorious in the race yesterday and celebrated his first victory, and the first of many, I would suggest, to come for the number 73 pilot, Thomas Fleming. Well done to you, Thomas. There is the number 12 car of Gianmarco Mazzialetti, and he driving for the Radici Automobili. I always said Automobili, and then Franco, my director, corrected me yesterday, as he does so much in life, and said it's Automobili, Dave. Franco is a master not only of Italian language, but English language as well. Thank you, Franco. We've got, I'm going to get so told off for that. We have got 28 minutes of our session remaining. And you can see there the number 26 car of the Meridian Modena FF Corsa driver, James Owen. He is right behind the number 12 car. That's the number 12 car that we were waxing lyrical about for Gianmarco Mazzialetti, and then it was James Owen. James Owen in the kind of yellow-black machine. There is James Owen. Expect to see good things from James Owen in the Ferrari Challenge this year. He's a wonderful addition to our grid, and a really nice guy as well. Had a couple of nice conversations with James, and the Meridian Modena FF Corsa driver out there on track for his qualifying. So we will run the clock on some of the drivers once they've done the installation lap. We're expecting the real times, big times, to come in the second half of qualifying. Alessio Dono is on a charge already, as Alessio Dono always is, weaving from side to side. Again, it's temperature generation. That's the reason for that. And he's into turn number 1 now. Pit lane exit here, incidentally, which comes right past our commentary studio. You shortcut turns 1, 2, and you end up at turn number 3, or on the exit of turn number 3, before you rejoin the track. And here we can see Alessio Dono then, and we split the screen to give you Alessio Dono inside the car and also what the car is doing out there on the track. So Alessio Dono, who did put it on pole position yesterday, will be hoping and wanting to do exactly the same today. Kim Eriksson in the beautiful green. It's an interesting shade of green that you can see center screen there. That is the Kim Eriksson car. And this, we stay with Alessio Dono. As I was saying, it's Radici Automobili, as opposed to Radici Automobili, which is what I was saying previously. I got corrected. Radici Automobili. They'll be getting an invoice for the mentions that team has had during the course of our qualifying session. Alessio Dono then, as I say, I'm imagining that he's out on an old set of tyres, and it will be in the second half of the session that we will see the times improve, as we expect to do so. At the moment, it's David Gosner who's gone quickest with a 1:39.605, and David Gosner had perhaps a more productive qualifying than he did race yesterday. But that as a result of quite some number of penalties that were awarded in the course of the race yesterday. It was they had to change the ink, I would think, in the printer in the race control room yesterday. Such was the number of penalties that got issued, Nico. I don't think I'm being over dramatic about that.
No, unfortunately, it was a little bit of the story of the race yesterday, that penalties shaped it. However, you have to give credit to all the drivers who made it onto the podium, including Franz Angstler and Hanno Laskowski, who had a very good showing in the race yesterday. and he is trying to do the same. Sector times 1 and 2 are looking good for the moment, as we've already established. Tire choice in qualifying on the Sunday always means that in the beginning you tend to wear yesterday's shoes and switch to a new pair come the middle of the session. So not necessarily expecting the peak times at the beginning, but every banker is good. Henry Laskowski is one of those. Nicola Rossi, who got onto the podium with P3 yesterday as well, and Henry Laskowski puts it on to P7 because he ran afoul of the track limits, and therefore the lap time that he just put in doesn't count. Nicola Rossi trying to avoid the same fate. First sector very good, second sector also up with a trajectory for an improvement. It's Szymon Ladniak who's just put it onto P1 overall. Franz Engster who's just put it onto P1 in class, and well, the Szymon Ladniak time suffers the same track limit fate as the previous one by Laskowski, but Nicola Rossi is still going about his trade, very calm, collected, cool. Good guy, as we already said, because he's giving us sweets, and that's something that we like, because he's no stranger.
Nicola Rossi then. Alicia Donno's just gone quickest. Max Mugelli second fastest. Nicola Rossi, has he fallen foul of track limits in the final sector? Because I expected him to be higher up the order. Josef Kral, sorry, we have to interject that train of thought, because Josef Kral has just gone quickest of anyone with a 1:36.720. And here comes Adrian Sutil, the Gome Baron Motorsport driver, whose sector 1 is purple. So we're having to watch not only the colours of the sector times, but also watching to see if a TL comes up alongside any sector time, and the TL indicating that there's a track limit infringement, which means that the lap is immediately deleted. So Adrian Sutil at the moment remains, insofar as I can see, penalty free, and therefore this could be a very good time from Adrian Sutil, as Hanno Laskowski goes P1, having now done a lap which is considered to be clean with a 1:36.402. Here comes Adrian Sutil now with a 1:35.965, Nico. First sub 1:36 time that we've seen, and a full 7.5 tenths quicker than anybody else.
Absolutely. Just to give you a reference, the 1:34.559 from Alicia Donno was yesterday's pole time, so we're a little bit away from that still, but as we said, tire choice plays a part of that. As we follow around the track, that's the Josef Kral car, as you already said, had a very good race yesterday, good showing, and he's coming up on traffic, so whatever he did in his lap to this point really counts for naught, because he can't continue it, and maybe as a result, maybe pre-planned, he dives into the pit lane with 21 minutes and 44 seconds remaining, enter pit, change tire, go out again, get pole position. That's the remainder of the plan for the next 20 minutes or so. We'll see how that's going to work out. There is Bans Valent, and there is actually Franz Engster, who is P2 overall, P1 in class, no, actually P2 in class, or actually now P3 in class, because Lucky Keller just bested his time. Franz Engster won the race yesterday. Wasn't P1 for the vast majority of the race, but eventually kept it together, came out P1 on the track, didn't need any of the penalties which were awarded right and left around him to win the race, but he stayed penalty free, and that was very important for him to keep that P1 that he earned on the track, and that kept his streak of wins alive, because it's now 3 out of 3.
And Franz Engster is one of those drivers being so experienced that he will tell you that you have to take your luck sometimes, and yesterday Franz was able to do that. Ludovica is in the pit lane for us.
Yes, guys, as you can see here with the images, Eliseo in this moment is on the pit for his pit stop. In these first laps, he took the 3rd position, and he is trying to push and took his pole position. Sorry.
Thank you. Adrian Sutil now as Thomas Fleming, yesterday's race winner, out of the blocks, Nico. He's just 4 1/1000ths down on Adrian Sutil. He's only the second driver to have put it in the 1:35s. I want to talk about this car, the number 10 car. Because I absolutely love the shade of green that Kim Eriksson has decided to put upon the car.
Is it lime?
It is. It's close to lime. If it isn't lime, you're absolutely right. It's very citrus in look.
It might be sublime.
What did I just know? One of your cranky little words was going to come there.
I don't know. Let's give a quick shout out to one of our camera women down in the pit lane because it's Sarah's birthday today. Happy birthday, Sarah. Doing a great work for us with the Steadicam and giving us some great close-up shots. I'm not sure if this is one of them, but she's certainly providing great coverage down in the pit lane and giving us some close-up of those cars with beautiful machinery, and the team's working on the car, so Tantaguri. And we go back to the race action.
Adrian Sutil P1, Tom Fleming P2. The best of the AM drivers is Hanno Laskovsky, just ahead of Lucky Kura and Franz Engsler. Lucky Kura had a difficult race yesterday. Towards the end of the race, he was losing pace in the car, and he nursed it home and still brought it home in the points, but certainly not the position that he wanted to be in, I'm sure. So Lucky is another one of those drivers I feel that will be out there to right the wrongs of yesterday, and the wrongs certainly not of his doing. So we will see if he is able to achieve that. Kim Eriksson receiving final instructions before going out in the second half of the qualifying. Another driver that we're yet to see yet on track is Mohammed Hamdi. Now, the Ezal Arab Automotive Company, if any driver had an unlucky race yesterday, it was Mohammed, who, again, through no fault of his own, was out of the race. So he assured me when I had a conversation with him yesterday that the car was going to go today, good to go. And it was another day, and he was going to be back out on track. So looking forward to seeing him. He's certainly not made it out of the pit lane yet, but we're hoping that he will momentarily. Very nearly half distance in terms of this qualifying session as we continue to watch Adrian Sutil. It's Adrian Sutil and Tom Fleming P1 and P2, and Mohammed Hamdi is on his way out of the pit lane as if he was listening to my every word, Nico, but there is Lucky Kura.
Well, probably he did, and Lucky Kura, as you said, he had a very, very good race and a very, very good qualifying until some part of the race. He just lacked some. There were a few tenths every sector that he consistently lost, so there was apparently some issue with the setup, aerodynamics, or anything, but he really battled through it, and he took every point that he could, and that is very creditable, and he will try to do his best once again. New day, new luck. There is Hanno Laskovsky in replay as he throws his 488 Challenge Evo through that first sequence of turns, turn 1, 2, and 3. That's right, left, right-hander, which is a particular lynch point in the first lap of the race later on, because it really, everybody's so bunched up, and the inside becomes the outside, becomes the inside again. And jockeying for position and trying to be aware of where everybody else around you is damn near impossible. But they have to go through it, and that's where one of the incidents yesterday ensued, as we stay here in the pit lane for the time being with the Tom Fleming car.
Yeah, new set of rubber going on to the number 73 machine. And Tom will be out there on that new rubber with about half of the session remaining. And he, of course, will want to be setting the fastest time fairly early on in the second half of the session so that he can maintain the tyre for the race. That's exactly the same strategy Alessi O'Donnell, of course, will be using.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to try as early as possible. In the early morning hours, you get the feeling that the track is going to evolve every minute, not necessarily at 11 a.m. That's already, the track is already well rubbered in and it's not improving as much anymore, so you don't necessarily need to leave it for the very last moment. But, you know, obviously the more rubber goes on the track, the better it is and the faster it theoretically becomes.
There you can see Nicola Rossi in conversation with, I'm sure that's David Fuminelli alongside him. David Fuminelli acting as driver coach to Nicola Rossi, and you can see how intently Nicola is taking on board everything that David is saying. David, of course, a hugely successful driver in his own right, and therefore that gives him the occupation of a driver coach. Of course, he still races very competitively himself. There is the James Owen car, the number 26 car that we were talking about earlier on for Meridian Modena. And James Owen, a welcome addition to the Ferrari Challenge for this year. And for my money yesterday, one of the most impressive drivers in qualifying, Nico, was this man, David Gosner. He's on personal best through Sector 1 and Sector 2. And David Gosner for Trofeo Pirelli put it right up there, didn't he?
Yeah, and he had a really good race for the vast majority, led the race dominantly almost for the vast majority, and then was called by Franz Engstler, and then also suffered one of those dreaded track limit penalties, and he looked pretty dejected, I think it's fair to say, but he is turning that disappointment into new motivation for a new day, and that is P2 for the time being in class. So good lap by David Gosner. I'm sure it's not the last word that he will put on. There is Marco Zanazzi, who also had a time penalty in the race yesterday.
Who didn't?
I was about to say, it is probably a shorter list of drivers who didn't suffer any time penalty. He also figured very prominently in the race until a drive-through penalty took him out of contention for the podium. You know, the drivers will regroup. They will consider, where can I be maybe a little bit more cautious? Where do I have to be a little bit more cautious with tire wear? So I can avoid those transgressions towards the very end of the race. And he is gonna try and put in an early time, which becomes extra critical here, and a P2 for the time being is a good time.
I think you're being very kind in alluding to the fact that the time limit penalty, the track excursion, track limit penalties were awarded because of tyre wear. I think every racing driver will try and squeeze as much tarmac between the wheels as they possibly can in the hope that race control don't notice that they've gone beyond the white lines. Forgive me for being cynical, but yeah, track limits proved to be a real issue yesterday, and to really give you the explanation, basically the rule is that track limit violation number 1, you get a warning, number 2, you get a warning, number 3, you get your final warning, and then you get a drive-through penalty. So it really can impact and affect your race and your performance in the race. Franz Engstler, one of the most experienced racers on the grid, it has to be said, is absolutely going for it now. He took victory yesterday, and Franz Engstler, this lap is going to be compromised by traffic potentially. He's into the final stadium section of the circuit, and whatever any driver does to try and keep out of the way of someone that's on a hot lap, inevitably it can affect the lap. So he's got Alessio Dono ahead of him right now, but he crosses the timing line, and you can see there, Nico, that sector 3 it hurt him a little bit. I mean, still not only pole position in class, he's actually the fastest driver out there on a 1:35.712. So great showing from Franz Engstler, who will definitely go again for the Charles Pozzi GT Racing team, being coached this weekend by Manuel Reuter, who is team boss as well, because his normal coach, one Mr. Luca Engstler, who is son to Franz, and himself a hugely successful driver, is elsewhere this weekend.
Yeah, we believe he's at the Nürburgring 24 qualifiers at the Nürburgring, obviously, very obviously.
Funny that.
Yeah, funny that. There seems to be a connection between the two, but you know, Franz apparently is getting along quite reasonably.
Tell me it's snowing there.
No, apparently
it must be.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be over the course of the day, but for the time being, I think we are in reasonable condition at the Nürburgring.
That's like Spa, isn't it? You know, it's one of those tracks, and we're going to Spa with the Ferrari Challenge a little bit later this year, in fact in September, I think, where, you know, we can expect almost every weather possibility to be inflicted upon the track during the course of that weekend. Spa and Nürburgring are legendary in terms of their weather in their own little microclimate.
Yeah, and they are so close together. So it's almost one microclimate. Adrian Sutil, not very quick on the last lap around, but he is still P1 in class, P2 overall, and he's going again and trying to improve on his previous time. And we're now in the stage where we expect the next lap times from pretty much everybody to be an improvement, because now, with the exception of Henner Laskowski, everybody's out on the track. Pretty much everybody has completed their out lap following the tire change, and that means times are being picked up, outlaps and tire warm-up routines are being completed, and that means the Pirelli P0s are now in the condition where they afford the optimum opportunity for pole setting challenges, as we have a slow-mo view of the Gianmarco Marcialetti car.
And now we see it in the real deal now at race pace, if you like. So it's Franz Hensler quickest, and he is a Trofeo Pirelli AM driver. Marcialetti then with personal best through Sector 1 and Sector 2. Got traffic ahead of him now, and that traffic is by way of the Daniel Del Favero car that we can see, but keeping well out of the way. And as I've said earlier on during qualifying sessions, drivers that are not on a hot lap will do their level best to get out of the way of a driver that is on a hot lap, but inevitably, you can't just make the car disappear. And here comes Adrian Sutil then. Sector 1 and Sector 2 were purple, so have we got any track limits violations? No, it appears not. So here comes Adrian Sutil with a 1:34.995. So Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3, all purple. Purple patch for Sutil. Sutil goes P1 and is the first driver to put it into the 134s, but here comes the second driver to put it into the 134s, I confidently predict, and that is Alessio Dono. There's a yellow flag at turn 14, but he's already passed that. Therefore, he heads towards the timing line and does put it at 1:34.427, and that gives him provisionally P1. Nico, yellow flag, turn 14. That means the drivers going to be impacted and affected. We'll see if that gets lifted very, very quickly. We've now got a red flag, so whatever has happened at turn 14 becomes really, really critical in this qualifying, because the clock is stopped with 8.5 minutes remaining. And that means those drivers that have not set the lap that they want, and is it David Gosner the cause of that? Don't think so, because he's going again now. Wonder if something happened there on the turn that caused David to go off and back on again. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, turn 14, just for orientation, is the last of the right-handers in the stadium section. So it's 16 turns on this track, so it's towards the very end. And that's why I'm a little bit cautious with the Alessio Dono time, because he was purple, and if he was past that point by the time yellow came out, it was pretty close.
It was close.
So that's going to be interesting and something we may hear about again. But for the time being, P1 for him and the red flag. And right now we don't quite see or can tell, based on the information that we have, why the red flag came out. There is going to be a reason, and safety obviously always paramount. And we had a similar situation yesterday, incidentally, with Manuela Gosner, where we had a red flag and she got the car going again, but yes, she had been stationary on one of the fastest spots of the track. And, you know, you want to do everything possible to avoid another car clattering, and there is Manuela Gosner. Thanks, guys, for bringing that to us right now. And, you know, you absolutely want to avoid another car collecting a slow car on the track. And there is Alessio Dono taking his car probably towards the end of pit lane, which is in anticipation of a restart fairly soon. And there is Alessio Dono in replay while he was not in pit lane, but throwing the car through the turns. And we have information that the session will restart in about 25 seconds from now, so no long break.
So whatever it was fairly innocuous, I would suggest.
As the drone flies by our commentary position window in about 2 meters high, so we could high-five it.
So session restarting at 10:29, confirmation of that, and that is within 5 seconds from now. So those drivers, all of a sudden, it becomes a very, very difficult qualifying session because there's only 8.5 minutes left. It's going to be very, very busy. Trying to find a clear lap is going to be very, very difficult. Subsequently, the shape of this qualifying has now been altered because of that very, very short interruption.
Indeed, and going through our timing screen from the bottom to the top, looking at the drivers who are definitely out of position. Josef Kroll down in P15, P6 in class, certainly one who needs to get it going. Nicola Rossi down in P11, P6 in class also, and he's just come out. And before we get back to a meaningful lap time chase, we go into the pit lane to Ludovica to give us the latest.
Yes, guys, we are here with the car of Sutil. Sutil in this morning was very, very fast, and for the first lap he was on the pole. And I told before with one of his mechanics that told me that in this morning in the warm-up lap, Sutil used old tire, and now during the red flag and the pit stop, the team changed the tires for make the best lap.
Wow. That means that Adrian Sutil then, well, if that's absolutely correct, leaving it very, very late in terms of putting the rubber on. And if he set the time that he set on old rubber, fair play to you, Adrian.
Absolutely, 1:34.995.
Second fastest.
Yeah, absolutely. But he is still in the pit lane, as is Eliseo Dono. So the first of those on our timing screen who is out is Tom Fleming. And as you said, 6 minutes and a half. You know, you really have, if you want to come out, you have to do that fairly quickly. And Eliseo Dono is no longer in the pit lane, as we can tell. He is now out on the grey stuff that brings glory and drama to the Ferrari Challenge, and we expect a lot of drama for the last 6 minutes and change of this qualifying session. The first one who is gonna chase times for real is Benz Valent, who has completed his outlap and has put in a personal best through Sector 1. He also has work to do because he's P18 overall for the time being.
Yes, absolutely. A number of drivers with work to do. Not only work to do, it's trying to find clear tarmac ahead. We ride on board here with Nicolo Rossi, who has got cleared tarmac ahead of him insofar as we can see from that well-positioned onboard camera. Loving this shot, guys. Riding on board the 488 Challenge Evo of Nicolo Rossi for Kessel Racing then, as he takes us on a high-speed lap around this Misano circuit. Marco Simoncelli very, very close to the curbs, but just keeping it off the curbs to give him a perfect trajectory on the exit. And you can see he runs wide, but not too wide, and therefore keeps within the track limit rules for this straight, where he carries so much power and so much speed through this kink, which is taken full chat flat. And there you can see now beginning the braking maneuver for this right-hander, but this double apex, Nico, which really, really does lend itself to actually, by the letter of the law, exceeding the track limits betwixt the two parts of that. And Nicolo over the sausage curbs at the stadium section now brakes very, very heavily and rounds the final turn and heads towards the timing line. Personal bests across Sector 1 and Sector 2. And he goes P2 within class. Eliseo Dono is P1 with a 1:34.427, who's bested Adrian Sutil. Now Tom Fleming goes P2. He's 2 1/4 tenths down on Eliseo Dono. Franz Engsler, I can see from another monitor that we have inside our commentary studio, is out of the car, so he feels that his P1 position in class is not under threat. Nicolo Rossi feels quite differently about it as he's going for it.
Absolutely, and you know, Franz Engsler, he wasn't at the very top end of qualifying yesterday, but he really, really preserved his tires, and that came good towards the end of the race, and he may feel, well, even if I'm dropped 2 or 3 positions on the grid, I'm better off preserving my tires and having them available like I did yesterday in the race. And it's going to be interesting. It's always a gamble. You never know what the others are going to be able to do and what they plan to do. Yeah, we'll find out in the next 4 minutes and change how that qualifying session will shape itself. Benz Valent towards the timing line, currently P4 in class. A 1:34.427 is not on the cards. A 1:35.796 means he's not improving in terms of position and he's not improving in terms of time. So things are as they were. Eliseo Dono is already on pole position, but he's going to go again, and he's now starting the lap that he might try to get an improvement on in earnest.
We will see. So Eliseo Dono, Tom Fleming, Adrian Sutil at the moment are the top 3 in terms of Trofeo Pirelli. At the moment, the top man in Pirelli AM is with Ludovica, and that's Franz Engsler.
Franz, in this morning you are very, very fast. In this moment you are on the pit. Can you tell more about your qualification?
Yeah, the disqualification was much better than yesterday. So I was on the lucky side. I could do my hot lap before the red flag comes out. So then it's easy for me. We can save the tire for the race. So I'm very prepared and I'm really happy.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Franz. Thank you, Ludovica. Exactly as Nico suggested. Franz, wise old sage that he is, managed to get his hot lap in before the red flag and has parked the car, banked the tyres and says that, you know, tyre life in the race is going to be really important. That's what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. We expect temperatures in the mid-20s this afternoon, and in the car it's going to be significantly warmer, and
Yes.
on the track it's going to be significantly warmer. So tire longevity is going to come at a premium, and if you can buy that premium by being lucky in that case in terms of timing for your qualifying lap, the better. Nicola Rossi, that's not Nicola Rossi, to be honest. That is
Alicia O'Donnell.
Alicia O'Donnell, it is. And Alicia O'Donnell is currently on P1. He's not pushing the car too much, as you can tell that he's not attacking the curbs. Nicola Rossi, meanwhile, is trying to go into the pit lane, so also not pushing that much.
Tom Fleming has come into the pit lane. He's the one that could have been challenging. Alicia O'Donnell's provisional P1. Josef Kral is still out there. He's currently fourth fastest for Scuderia Praha. There is the Tom Fleming car. So again, Tom has decided that actually, you know, P2, front row, if it stays this way, I'll have the tyres in the race. Thank you very much.
Yeah, indeed, and we expected when the session restarted with 8 minutes and change for this last part to be very furious, and actually it hasn't been.
No, it's really, yes, it has under-delivered in terms of the expectation that we built, really rather falsely.
However, as you can see, there is quite a few people here up in the grandstands, and they're still enjoying the action. They're going to enjoy the last 40 seconds, whether there is going to be a new pole challenger or not, and they're certainly going to enjoy the life in the paddock between now and the beginning of the races this afternoon. And from 2 p.m. this afternoon, it's going to count, because then we will have race 2 in Coppershell, we will have race 2 in Trofeo Pirelli. We currently have a qualifying session that is flowing towards its end without much drama, and therefore we can basically already announce our top positions in class.
Indeed we can. It's Alicia O'Donnell, who you just saw there taking his helmet off. P1, Tom Fleming P2, Adrian Sutil P3. For the AM drivers, Franz Engstler. Then it's Nicola Rossi and Hanno Laskowski. And the session is now officially over. And it's pole position to this young man, Alicia O'Donnell. There's Stefano Guy there. And Alicia then, who, I have to be honest, here in Misano is extraordinarily well supported. And he's a quiet and unassuming young man, it has to be said. And he has taken pole position, so he gains a point for that. And of course, he's congratulated there by Willem van der Vorm, who, of course, did a very, very good job himself in qualifying today.
Yeah, pole to pole, which, you know, is a very long distance, but in that case, the poles are very close together. So let's stop there. Ben Svelet is trying again. He's the only one out there who still might do something about his position. He's P5 right now. We're still watching that, and indeed he does a personal best through Sector 2, and therefore he might still improve. I don't think it's going to be enough for row 1, but he might still try and unseat Josef Kral from his P4 place. And let's maybe watch that, but in the meantime we go down to Ludovica, who's talking to our pole setter, without a question, Alicia O'Donnell.
Yes, I want to ask you to Eliseo more about your qualification. Eliseo, è partita una qualifica diversa dal solito, hai fatto più fatica all'inizio, però poi hai ripreso, hai spinto tantissimo. Com'è andata? Che cosa hai capito dalla macchina da questa mattinata?
No, di sicuro potevamo fare molto meglio, siamo stati un po' sfortunati dalla bandiera rossa, però comunque sono molto soddisfatto per il lavoro che abbiamo fatto ieri sera con il team. Dagli sbagli si impara, quindi stiamo imparando, sono molto contento del lavoro che hanno fatto sulla macchina. Anch'io sono molto fiducioso per gara 2, vediamo cosa esce, dai.
Thank you. Eliseo is very happy for all the work by the teams that made yesterday night. Is very improved today in the qualification. He had more difficult after the red flag, but during the qualification he is pushing very hard and replace the first position, and he is very happy for these results.
Thank you, Ludovica, not only for the interview, but also for the translation service as well. And there is the Rotiform Pole Position Award that has been given to Eliseo Dono. Of course, Franz Exler will be in receipt of one of those for Trofeo Pirelli Am. Here's the order then: Eliseo Dono, Tom Fleming, Adrian Sutil, Josef Kral, and then Benz Valent, the top 5 Pirelli drivers. Top 3 Pirelli Am drivers are Franz Exler, Nicola Rossi, Hanno Luskowski. And they're ahead of David Goster, James Owen, Marco Zanazzi, Lucky Kira, Danilo Del Favaro, Gianmarco Marzioletti, Kim Eriksson, Mohamed Hamdi, Armin Arifpour, and not setting a time was Rocco Mazzola. So there we have it, our Trofeo Pirelli qualifying done and dusted. Please make sure you join us for the races this afternoon. From Ludovica, from Nico, and from myself, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.